Guide monkey? I don't think I know this sighting. Tingana stealing his baby mama's kill and then telling the lions where she was. Classic Tingy. I don't remember that one. Do you remember which guide that was with? Actually, I'd say some of my favorite sightings with Tingana was when he was mating with Tundi to produce Tumba, possibly. Those were good, great views down here in the Mawati of him mating there. We've got another one from Crystal. Yes. Quite often happens with male leopards, Crystal. They get tired of mating. So Crystal's favorite is that he was mating with Kruger, and these leopard females there, they don't know when to give up. And he tried to hide down behind one of the bumps in the road to try to hide from her. Yes, that would be very funny. I'm trying to think now. I mean, we've had such wonderful sightings with him. Of course, the incredible interaction, especially now, we're seeing between Tingana and Hosana. H. Macy says, anytime, sorry, Sens, anytime you see Hosana and Tingana, or Tingana tolerating Hosana. So when I have the cameramen that are not as long as me, they struggle a little bit because I tend to stride, and especially when I get into a walking mode, and I walk very fast. Jamie complains about it quite a lot because when I start walking, I just walk, and then the cameraman struggle to keep up with me. So I've got to slow myself down sometimes. Sorry about that, Sense. Lovely time of the day. Can I please say what? James Henry wants me to say what? I didn't say. James wants me to say the family of Kudu, Inyala, and Impala. So, Traphalagus. Isn't that always been Traphalagus? Trahluvg. No UV. I'm trying to. Traphalagus. What's James say? Traphalagus. Yes. Scientific names. There's always some debate. I don't know what James Henry is on about. Always talking nonsense. But I was just trying to think now. I'm going to say we've had some really wonderful times. Really wonderful times with Mr. Tingana, and I'm hoping he's going to give you another one of those wonderful times with James this afternoon. So let's go find out.
Why is Brent trying to peddle alternative facts here? There's no debate. It's Tragelaphus. You will never find in any text, other than those written by Brent Leo Smith himself, where it says Traphalagus. That is not going to happen. Anyway, here we have Tingana. I'm trying to think of my favourite Tingana moment, and I think it was with Vium. And Vium and I, what did we do? We were somewhere north of Leadwood Road, in the middle of the block, and we just had the most gorgeous light. And nobody else came to the sighting. It was just Vium and I, and I think we sat with him. Oh, we sat with him for nearly the whole drive. He didn't do anything particularly specific or particularly spectacular. He just kind of lay there on a termite mound and basked in his own magnificence. And it was very special to spend that kind of private time with him, not having any other game drives around, much as we don't have now. All of the other game drives, interestingly, have gone off to the western side of their traverse, which includes the areas Shirley's, the area Shirley's, which is just south of Arathusa, which is to the west of where we are now, quite a long way to the west. And they've gone to view two lion prides, the Nkuhumas and the Styx, not very far from each other. Now, if you are a new viewer, those are the two prides we see from time to time, and they hold exclusive territories And so to have them so close to each other is very unusual, and one wonders if they actually know that they are so close to each other. Oh, there's some huge action going on here. There's the old boy lifting his head to say hello. I remember that time with you and Viam. It was very special. I was younger then, but I'm a little old now. And I just need to have my sleep before somebody pours me my evening tipple. And then maybe I will walk out of here and just go and sit on the damn wall for a while and observe the comings and goings of things over there. Many of you didn't know that that's how Tingana speaks, but that is how he speaks. He's very cultured. I'm trying to think of other. Fergus, do you have a favourite Tingana moment?
Having a poo out of a jackleberry.
Having a poo out of a jackleberry. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Aaron, you apparently have a favourite moment. What was it? I hope it's nicer than Fergus's. Oh, yes, the sighting between Shadow, or sighting with Shadow, and Shadow, and not Barbara and Tingana. Yeah, I guess that must have been pretty special indeed. You were there as well, were you, Fergus?
I was.
You were there.
My favourite is, in fact, my first drive at Wild Earth.
Yes?
He was the first leopard I saw.
No, so Tingana was the first leopard that Fergus saw. See? He sighed there in happiness. Oh, I remember you, young man. Oh, yes, it was wonderful. I'm afraid I know the sighting is not getting substantially better, but I think we're going to wait here. Monique, you say, does he have a meal here? I don't think he does. He did look to be licking something when we arrived, but he got up immediately and walked here. He didn't pick it up. So, I mean, he may have been finishing a meal, but I don't think he has one. He doesn't look very full.
No, he doesn't look full. He's been just lying here every day.
And Fergus says he's just been lying here every day, which I guess most of you know, but...
Yeah, the side on the far end of the day.
So sticking close to Chitwa, which often happens with these leopards, and of course then they can get a bit dangerous. If they lose condition continually and spend too much time around camps, well, then they can become a danger to human beings, because of course sick and old leopards are the ones that harm human beings. I still think, I mean, he suddenly lost condition. It wasn't a slow kind of deterioration. I still think that he got sick, and I'm not convinced that he's recovered fully from that. Ravinda, you're wondering about incredible leopard sightings from the Mara and if I have any. You know, I don't. We've seen a few nice leopards in the Mara, but none of them a patch on any of the real highlights that I've had here. And that's simply because we don't drive into the areas where they are. I've seen 3 or 4 leopards in the Mara, but they haven't done anything particularly astonishing. You know, not intimate sightings like we've had here with our leopards. With all of our leopards here, we have such a sort of intimate relationship with. We're parked now no more than 4 meters from him. It's about 12 feet or so, just a bit more than that, 14 feet. And yeah, I mean, we're not. He's just kind of accepted us into his presence, whereas the leopards in the Mara, because they're not quite so used to human beings, they're just not quite as confiding. And of course you can't get as close. There was a bit of movement there. Did you see that, Fergus? It was a flick of the tail. My goodness. This is a question from Alicia about the names of the leopards in the Mara. Yes, they do have names, some of them. I'm not sure that I know any of them, actually. But those that are seen regularly do have names, yes. You probably find they've got various names. The Mara is so big. It's 150,000 hectares. It's 370,000 acres. And, anyone can go anywhere there. They don't have a kind of network of guides as intimately related as the guides are here, simply because of the vastness of the size of the area. And so, you'll probably find some camps call some leopards one thing and some call them others. But many of the most famous Mara characters, like Scarface the male lion, have names. Alrighty, Leo Smith must be on his way home, I imagine, now. And so let's go and find out if he has any Mara leopard highlights.
Well, we do have some wonderful leopard stories from the Mara. Probably the best one was the first really good leopard sighting I had in the Mara. Sens, are you going to make it up there?
Yeah.
I'll let you go first while I talk. So that was with Davy. We found that big male leopard. Actually, our good friend Stratton, who studies the Marshall Eagles, told me where the leopard was. Just making sure Sens gets up safely, so he doesn't have to try film me moving while going up steep banks. And we watched him, and I think it was one of the first nights we were trying the infrared gear, and we still hadn't got our proper thermal camera yet. So I had a thermal monocle that I was trying to use and drive at the same time, and that big male leopard he was just walking, and then suddenly he just disappeared. We couldn't find him. Like, this is impossible. And then all of a sudden he just appeared out of the grass with an adult warthog in his jaws. That was pretty epic. And then Manu and I had some really great leopard sightings around the Sand River. Now, you've got to wonder how an irrigation head gets here. It must have been from the rain, must have been washed down the riverbed. Strange things you find in the bush. Manu and I had some really great leopard sightings along the Sand River of a very, very skittish female. I mean, she was beautiful, really, really dark, but she didn't hang around for a vehicle. And I saw quite a lot of leopards in the Mara. Unfortunately, most of them seem to be in the luggers. If a lugger, the drainage systems, the river systems where we didn't have signal yet. And hopefully now with our new antennae that we've been putting up, our Mara's been down, and that we're going to have far more coverage in those areas. So we should get to know some of those Mara leopards a bit better. And what else? I actually had one of our favorite leopard sighting while I was in Kenya. One of my favorites was in Savo. What did you find, Herb? This evil female. I see. Oh, a piney bee nest in the road. It's not a good place. But so I'll finish telling you about the leopard now, but just quickly. So you've seen the stingless bee nest in the giraffe skull. Here's one in the ground. You can feel that waxy. Isn't that cool? So they'll sometimes in the ground, sometimes they're in trees. So very, very cool. Okay, so, oh yes. So there'll be some subterranean, possibly extinct termite mound that they're using. So actually one of my favorite leopard sightings was in Savo while we were on holiday. And I was not in Savo National Park. Friends of ours own some property that's a conservancy that's open to Savo National Park. So you can walk and do stuff that you're not allowed to do in the national park. And I walked into a leopard there. We didn't really see him. He growled at me, but it was still fun. What else? Oh, I've had some amazing leopard sightings all over Africa. My record for the most leopard I've seen in a day. Guess. Hashtag Safari Live. What is the most leopard Brent has seen in a single day? I'll tell you what country it was in. It was in Botswana. And I was about 17. And I was doing some not so glamorous work for my dad. The most leopards I've seen in a day. Who can guess correct? Hashtag Safari Live. Now, guys, speaking of leopards, I think you need to keep a very close lookout on the dam cam this evening. I think there's a good chance Tandy might make an appearance. She's been in this area for quite a while, especially with Shadulu mating with Hukumuri quite far to the west on the other side of Arathusa and Elephant Plains. Tandy might be feeling a little bit safer in this area with both of them preoccupied. Oh, we've got some guesses coming in. Sophia? No. I think I've seen more than 3 leopards in one day here. I have, by far. I think I've seen 7 leopards in one day here. So that gives you an idea. And it's quite apt. Oh, Paula 6'7", you guys are still too low. And it's quite apt, today being today, that is the day. And now I've given it away. And I'm rhyming! Goodness me! I just better stop right now. Sis. Rhyming. Okay, let's cut through here a little bit. Okay, the rescue crew for Tristan have just found Tandy at Giraffe Dip. Herbie's going like this. He's very angry. Look at Herbie. Herbie's throwing a temper tantrum. We must have been 20 meters away from her. We were right there 3 times today. It's probably about 400 or 500 meters from here now. Okay, come Herbie. I'll do it as well. If it was a little bit lighter, I would take the chance and run there, but unfortunately for us, it's a little bit dark to get there and get back. Well, that's the way it goes with leopards. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes... Reverend, I'm good, but I'm not that good. 35 leopards in a day. No, I did not see that many. The hint was in today. 12 is close, but not quite. The hint is in today. There we go, Monique in London, 13 leopards, and today is Friday the 13th. Maybe that's why we can't find Tandy. Maybe that's why... What has Tristan done to deserve such bad luck on Friday the 13th? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. But yes, 13 different leopards. So when I was... I suppose they can't really charge me now. So when I was a teenager, on my school holidays, one of the jobs I used to really love doing, and I didn't get to do it as often as I would like, is that what would happen is that our game drive vehicles would come out of the bush into town once a year for a big overhaul in service, and then no one liked driving them back. So it was about 250 k's from town to camp, to the furthest camp, to Lagoon Camp, and took you, if it hadn't been raining, Impala males being silly, if it hadn't been raining, it would take you 9 hours, or no, if it had been raining, then the road was actually a bit better, 9.5 hours. But in the height of the dry season, June, July, when the sand was very thick, it would take you 12 to 13 hours. I used to love it, but I had no chance of being caught once I was inside the buffalo fence inside the concessions and the national park. So I used to drive through National Park when I was 14, 15. But there was one section of tar road that I had to do. So to avoid all manner of police, I used to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. But it was also great because I was through the gate before it was dark and in there, and I saw 13 different leopards on that 250-kilometer drive from Maun up to the Kwando River. Okay, well, hopefully Conrad and Steve fix up Tristan with a new battery, and he'll be out in a flash and on Pundy. In the meantime, let's go to James.
There we have hippopotami. We've come away from Tingana just to put on the infrared light. We'll go back to him now. We just thought we'd come up and see what was going on here. Lots of splashing and splushing and grunting and groaning coming from here. I cannot claim to have seen 13 leopards in one drive, I don't think. But I mean, who can claim the same breadth of leopard finding as Brent Leo Smith? Well, I suppose Conrad can, really. He found leopard today. Birdie, you're wondering what a group of hippos is called. There are a number of different collective nouns. You can call them a pod. You can call them a herd, I suppose, if you want. You can call them a school. Or a raft. I normally use the word pod or raft. But you'll find that in most sort of dry biological texts, they'll use the word, for giraffe or for zebra or anything else. They'll just use herd or group. Carmel, you're wondering about the birthplace of hippos. Well, there are 3 little ones there, and you want to know if we know where they were born, basically. And the answer is not really, no. It's most likely that those 3 little hippos there, which I would put, aging a hippo is very difficult. I would put them at around about, I'm guessing 4 or 5 months, perhaps. I would say they were born right here, probably in a shallow bay, somewhere around this dam. They can be born in, I've seen hippos born out of water, they can be born in water as well. And so I'd say they were just born around here. And this is where they've been for all of their early lives. And it's very nice that all 3 of them there are roughly the same age, so that they can sort of learn and frolic and play together. We had one very young one, it must have been one of these ones, in one of the bays at the far southern end of this waterhole. Very sweet look. Robert, you want to know if hippos mate on land or in water? Normally in water. I've never seen them mating on land, but I believe that it is possible. I'm sure it is possible, but it's normally done in the water. I've seen it happening in the water. You can see the light is fading hugely now, and they'll start to get active and then get out. And Nina, Sina, you were asking if they give birth on water or on land. The textbooks will tell you normally that they give birth in water, but we had one at Ngala where I used to work that was, well, she kind of gave birth, I guess, in like a puddle. But it was by no means water that, either she or her baby could submerge in. So I sort of took that to be on land, really. Alrighty, let's go back to Tingana and see what's happening with him before it gets completely dark. Now, apparently Tristan is still being fixed by the great leopard finder, and when I say leopard finder, I don't mean Brent, of course, I mean Conrad, who not only is able to fix batteries, he's able to weld, one of those rare people who's able to weld and do carpentry. He managed to find the leopard today. Steve is apparently with him, but I'm going to go with Conrad and give him the credit for the leopard this evening. I hope you then get to see the leopard when Tristan eventually gets mobile again. I think you're going to have to stay with me. Brent must be nearly at home by now. It's getting quite dark. So let's just... You just stay with me. Stick with me. Shortly we will go into the infrared, which will make all the pretty colours disappear into black and white, but that's okay. That's night time for you. The sun has set. I'd say we've got another, I wouldn't say more than 15 minutes before complete darkness. I'm going to get a little bit bumpy here. And we were just saying, Fergus and I, as Tristan goes he's going up to the Mara. I'll tell you about this later. Let's go back to Brent before it gets too dark so that he can say goodbye.
Hello, goodbye. Yes, we are nearly home. It is getting a little bit dark. You don't really want to walk. Senso's running away from me. You don't really want to walk too much later than this at this time of the year. It's not as bad at the moment just because there's not so many elephant and buffalo, but as we move deeper into the to the dry season, it is going to get a little bit more dangerous at this time of the night. But we're out in a nice big open area, we're on quarantine, and we're relatively safe. Gabriel, I want to walk into everything, but yes, sometimes you do come into situations that can be a bit hairy, and it's normally our experience that gets us out of those situations. I've a hippo occasionally, not always a nasty one to bump into. It's just over here on Mvubu Road during the drought. I was tracking a leopard. It was Karula. And I was on the tracks. We're on bushwalk as well. And we're on the tracks. And Andrew Francis was on camera with me. And then I just went, stop. And about 1.5 meters from us, lying in a guarri thicket, was a very injured hippo bull. And then we did this. To try to get away from him as quietly as we could. So yes, occasionally you do, but normally your experience is what helps you get out of those situations, rather than guns and bullets and things. Now, as you know, Herbie carries a rifle, but when I walk without a cameraman, without the big aerial and stuff, which is obviously a very different thing, I personally don't believe in walking with a rifle. And I've probably spent more time on foot than anyone else at Safari Live. Walking safaris in southern Tanzania, anti-poaching, and then all the time in the rainforest we didn't use vehicles at all, we only walked. So what a rifle does, not always, but in a lot of circumstances, especially because there's such an emphasis on rifle training, that it gives people a false sense of security. So in my opinion, if you're not willing to walk through a Tamboti thicket or a Phragmites reed bed without a rifle, you shouldn't be doing it with a rifle. I don't want to shoot any animals. I like seeing them and I like tracking them. But from us on foot, before we lose all our light, we're going to march the last little bit back to camp and send you back across to Commander Bond.
Well, yes, here we are, still with Tingana. That's his ear, believe it or not. Magnificent sighting of Tingana's ear. It's a good ear, I think. Look, it's flicking, so it still works properly. That's good. Whether he can hear or not, I'm not sure. I think he can. He's twitching it from side to side. But in general, I'd say that that's an excellent ear. Wouldn't you, Fergus?
Yeah.
Stunning ear. Really good to see an ear like that in amongst the reeds. I mean, for those of you who like to take screenshots, this is the one you want. An ear. Oh, no, too late. Oh, you can still get some ear. I thought that there was a precursor to him getting up and doing some form of a balletic dance, but unfortunately that is not the case. Gary Mob, you're wondering about why lions and leopards change location so much. The answer, Gary Mob, is probably because they need to protect areas, territories, so that they have enough to eat within their territories. So that's why they keep territories, and of course to keep out marauding males. And if they were to sit in one place, you'd find it very simple, or the prey would find it very simple not to eat them, not to be eaten. So, for example, lion prides often do concentrate around waterholes, but can you imagine if the Nkuhuma pride spent all its days lurking around the Chitwa waterhole? They'd never have anything to eat, because very quickly you would find that the prey just didn't come down to drink there. They'd go somewhere else to drink. So I think that's one of the major reasons that they have to move around quite a lot. Their prey learn very fast. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I think it makes sense. This is a fantastically entertaining sighting. I don't think we're going to sit here for too much longer, I'm afraid. Nikki wants to play a game. Sorry, say that again, Nicola. What is the game? What is the game called? The game is called Fast 5. I'm going to prompt everyone, that's all of you. Okay, so we're going to do the first of 5 questions that we get, we're going to go through very quickly, and you may send them now. Go. Here we go. We're waiting. We're so excited. I'm so excited that I just can't hide it. I never like it. Right, here we go with the game, everybody. I'm really overwhelmed with joy at the thought of this game. Nicola, any questions yet? Is everyone playing the game? Or... oh, everyone's saying, yay, they love the game, but no one's actually sent a question. That's really not ideal. That kind of ruins the game, actually. Fergus, would you like to ask a question? Okay, here we go. What's my favourite Mara sighting? That's from First Lady. Well, that was pretty easy. That was with Fergus. Fergus and I watched 6 kills in 20 minutes. Didn't we, Fergus? There we are. Absolute mayhem and madness. Next. No, nothing. No one else wants to know anything. Here we go. H. Macy. What's my favourite place in the world other than Africa? Oh, I don't know, really. I mean, I have been to a few other places in the world. I would say the most entertaining I've been would probably be Provence in France. I have lovely memories there of a family holiday. So I'm going to say there. Very gentle lifestyle that the French live in that particular area. Next one. No. This is the slowest game of Fast 5 I've ever played. It's the only game of Fast 5 I've ever played. Tim, you want to know if I can sing again? Okay. What shall I sing?
You got that question right. Can you sing it?
Yes. Oh, First Lady, you want my favourite song? Well, my favourite song changes from time to time. I'm trying to think of my favourite one at the moment. I think we should attempt the Nesum Dorma. What do you think, Fergus?
Yeah.
The Nesum Dorma. I will do it quite quietly because I don't want to wake Tingana up. Now, I'm a bass, I'm not a tenor, so I'm going to drop it about, I'd say, a sixth at least from where Pavarotti used to sing it.
Drop it like it's hot.
I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Nesum dorma, nesum dorma. Now I'm going to have to make up the words. Ich bin beresmuyon de varcomilu de meshon davo. Min poce prende cansitoro, piuntoris binde camero telo, meronte vores homon de jona, onde falana vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. Thank you very much.
Not like the tears were.
Tingana has not stirred. Not a muscle.
We're gonna try and infrared, yeah?
Okay, let's infrared Tingana and see if that makes any difference. Tammy, you know I'm not allowed to answer this question with any form of honesty whatsoever. You say, which place do I like more, the Mara or the Sabi Sands? Answering that in any kind of a... if I was to actually give an answer to that question, I would be pilloried by both viewers, the various staff members who live in each location, so I couldn't possibly give an answer. So I'll give a politically correct one. I actually don't have an answer, because they are both wonderful in their own way. The intimacy of the Sabi Sands is fantastic. This is the Kruger area, so it feels sort of like home, and it's where I cut my teeth, so I mean, that's why I love it here. The Mara is just spectacular. You know, everywhere you look there's a vista or an animal or something like that. Scenically, I'm not sure you can compare it with the Sabi Sands, but you do not get anything like the intimacy that we have here at Djuma there. So, I mean, really, in all honesty, they really do both have their advantages and disadvantages. I will tell you, and I never thought I would say this, but I have said this to you before, that the vehicles at Djuma are inescapably better than the ones in the Mara. And for me to describe the vehicles that we drive here, these ancient recalcitrant Land Rovers, as better than anything else in the world, really does tell a story about the hard lives that the ones in the Mara have lived. And I'm sure Tristan, who takes a slightly dim view of some of the vehicles, you've noticed he had some trouble today, when he returns from the Mara, he, like me, will never ever complain about Rusty, Wendy, or Jigger. I love them. I love them a lot. Alright, Tingana's got 5 minutes before we pack it in with him and start to make our way towards home. He is still there, is he, Fergus? I can't see him either.
I just can't see what you're pointing.
Can't even see where we're pointing the camera. I'll have a look with my binoculars. Well, Tristan is apparently up and running, but he has no signal where he is now. I can see Tingana spots through these very powerful Gestapo-issue binoculars. Yes? I don't think you can see him. No, you're looking at grass, Fergus. No.
That's So I had him with me.
I think he's still... No. I can see him with my binoculars. Ah, Schmidt-Luca, you want to know about the tsetse fly and its existence here in South Africa. Because we're not looking at anything and we've got another 3 minutes to sit with Tingana, I'll tell you a story about the tsetse fly. It's not a story so much as a sort of historical, interesting thing, which many of you have heard before. So if you have heard it before, well, you can turn some music on or something as we wait for Tingana to get up. You used to get tsetse fly here, absolutely. It was the scourge of people in the Lowveld, and it probably contributed largely to this area being uninhabited on a permanent basis. So when the sort of written historical record of this area begins somewhere around midway through the 19th century, there's a lot of talk about how few people there were here in the Lowveld. And while those sorts of stories are inescapably untrue for many parts of South Africa, it would seem that here in the Lowveld they were true, and that's because of malaria and tsetse fly, both of which harbour diseases that are both harmful to human beings and their cattle. And so people used to come into this area in the wintertime to escape the tsetse fly, which gives you nagana or trypanosomiasis, sleeping sickness, and also to escape malaria. And then when summertime came, they disappeared up into the mountains or down onto the coastal plain where malaria was still rife, but there were fewer tsetse fly. Then, way back, I think it was around the middle of the 1890s, the Italians, who had been rather slow on the upstart for when it came to pillaging resources in Africa, decided that they too needed a colony, and all that was left was a place called Abyssinia, which is now Ethiopia. And so they sent one or two ships around to that area and very cleverly thought, well, we need to feed our troops, we'll take some cattle with us. And those Italian cattle were carrying a disease called the rinderpest, a virus, I think it's a virus, that absolutely devastated both the wildlife and the cattle of the local people, certainly around Kenya. Absolutely, they killed all the Maasai's cattle and they killed all the wildlife down into this area as well. Now, while the tsetse fly, and they then took the tsetse fly with it, because, of course, when tsetse had nothing to eat, so it died out. Now, I don't know why, but in many parts of Botswana, Zambia, and Tanzania, and Mozambique, the tsetse fly has made a return. Here in South Africa, it never did. And so we do not get tsetse fly here anymore. You absolutely find it in Tanzania, and in fact, Brent, I think, was bitten on the Tanzania-Kenya border, so they come almost into the Mara. And they're dreadful things. They really are nasty little things. A bite doesn't automatically mean you'll get sleeping sickness, but they are quite nasty, and they don't seem to die. You can hit them really hard, and they get up and fly away. Benny, I'm going to touch quite a lot of wood now and say that I haven't had malaria, so I've been very lucky in that regard. I've lived here and I've lived in the Mara a bit, and I've done a bit in Botswana, but I haven't lived in the very heavy malaria areas like parts of Tanzania where Brent was, or parts of Mozambique. So I've been very lucky. I haven't had it. So I think it's got a combination to do with luck and being in a relatively low malaria risk area. I know a lot of people that have lived in this area for a long time and just never had it. But it is a real killer, malaria, still to this day. And in fact, a friend of mine's son died, about 6 weeks ago now, of malaria. Was misdiagnosed, a really dreadful story, up near Palaboa. So it does kill people still. Is he up? Oh, I've just told you, Nadine, you said, what was I going to tell you about Tristan's trip to the Mara? All I was going to tell you was that he's going to love these cars when he gets back. All right, everyone, I'm afraid I can no longer make up stories about this grass in front of us. Let's continue. Tingana needs his rest, old fellow that he is. Let's move on and see what else we can find around here. We can have some lights, yes, let's have some lights. Now, Tristan has got a little bit of signal, so we might crash cut back to us once we've gone to him and he loses it. But for the meantime, let's go across to him and find out what's happening there.
Well, hopefully we're able to... So we're trying to drive in areas where Jigga is going to behave itself, but it seems as though that's very, very difficult. And it's a shame because Tundi was found very close to where we broke down by the guys that were coming to rescue us in the form of Conrad and Steve. And so we tried to head in that direction, but unfortunately Jigga just has no signal there whatsoever. And so I can't really follow up any further. I already tried. So now I'm just doing a bigger loop in the hope that she's going to move and I might catch her a little bit further away where we do have signal. That's the idea at least. But there is a scrub hare in the road. Hello, little scrub hare. So... Sorry, Craig. I'll put my lights on now. There we go. So there's our scrubber. We haven't had time to put on our infrared yet because we were just trying to get out and help James as quickly as possible, given that we were down for quite some time. Unfortunately, Rusty seems to have an alternator issue because the batteries are churning through them at the moment. That's the second one today that we've gone through. So anyway, hopefully we'll sort it out. But there is our little scrub hare that is sitting in the road, and this is a very common sight in the evenings. And you got to be careful if you're a scrub hare and Tundi's on the loose, because she loves herself a little scrub hare meal. It's an easy meal that she can grab, and she can then carry it all the way back to the cub, and the cub can feast off it. So if she's around, she'll definitely be going after all kinds of them. Now, unfortunately, she went back into the Mulawati, like I said, and so I thought maybe, just maybe, if I do a loop on Ingwe Alley, I might catch her coming that side, but I think more than likely she's going to follow the Mulawati back up towards Gowrie Cutla and pop out at Giraffe Dip somewhere, and this car just won't be able to get a signal in those areas. So we'll have to just try again in the morning. Maybe we'll get lucky and she'll be out and about at some point. Now let's try not blind our little scrub here. Come on, scrub here, off you go. There we go, in that way. There we go, that's it, well done. So when you're trying to get rid of a scrub here on the road, it's often good just to shine a spotlight in front of it in the grass, and then it can see that there's no predators there, and it will actually head in that direction. So it's a clever way to do things, and often it works scrub hares out of the road and allow them to come on. But it's a bit of... We were up with Tundi before we decided to kind of, Rusty being the way it is, we would have bumped into her, I think, because we were kind of heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, she just didn't play ball, and we were just a little too early for where she came out. But well done to Conrad and Steve. At least they spotted her, and hopefully it's going to be a good indication for tomorrow morning. Now we're going to go through Philemon's Dip, so hopefully there won't be any breakup. I do apologize if there is. There shouldn't be, though. Well, I don't know. Jigga can be a bit of a tough one sometimes. Sometimes Jigga is very good and doesn't have any issues. So I'm just going to try and just get up this hill because I'm pretty sure we've got some issues with signals. So let's just get up here before I answer any of this. So apparently it's getting better. Good. So I believe a lot of you are wishing me well on my trip tomorrow. Well, hopefully it will go all according to plan. It's going to be interesting to go there and see what's happening and go and catch up with all the things that have been going on that side. It'll also be great to see Jamie again. I haven't seen Jamie in ages, so it's been nice to catch up with Brent, and it'll just be good to go and kind of catch up with Jamie as well and see how she's been. But in terms of what I'm most looking forward to, don't know. I suppose just exploring a new area, seeing all the little different things that it has to offer. I mean, I've been in that area before, but it's different when you can spend a long period there. So it's just going to be nice to kind of see all the things that go on and just explore and new birds, which will probably be very nice, and just to go and see different things, I suppose. It's just a nice new change of scenery more than anything else. So I believe James Hendry is saying I should enjoy these cars before I climb into the joyful Mara vehicles, which every single presenter I think has now told me, and I'm well prepared for a horrible experience in a Land Rover that is of that kind. I've had one before when I was at Chitwa that was probably very similar in a lot of respects. It was completely beaten up and old, and it was not a very pleasant ride at all, but we'll try our best and try and kind of enjoy it as much as possible. I suppose Rusty has not endeared himself, or herself should I say, at all today, so we will find kind of solace in the fact that Rusty doesn't even want me to drive it anymore, and therefore I'll go and try a new car and see what it's like. But I think it's just going to be, like I say, just a different sort of change of scenery. Obviously I'll miss the fact that we're not going to be seeing nearly as many leopards as what I would have seen here, and obviously it's going to kind of be different in terms of the fact that we all know I like to spend time with leopards, but maybe we can go and try and find some leopards in the Mara and go and see, go and have a little look for the cheetah boys. That would be nice to see the Feta 5. And what else would I really like to see? I'd like to see Scar, just from a point of view that obviously he's a famous boy, and he's got some kind of sort of attitude and presence about him, is probably the right word, and so I would enjoy to go and spend some time seeing him. And birding, like I say, lots of birds that I want to see that side. Also just the openness of it all. It's very different to here. You know, here is so thick and dense, particularly now after all these rains. It's going to be really nice just to go and kind of see a bit more open space, and the light in the Mara is absolutely beautiful. Now Nikki is speaking in my ear because she's also going to be there. She's going to be there a bit later than I will. She's going to join 2 weeks after I will, and Nikki's saying she's excited to see it. Nikki, have you been to the Mara before? Just waiting for Nikki to reply. She has. So she has Mara, so Nikki knows a little bit about what Mara is like, but it is exciting to go there and just to, I'm sure she's just more excited than anything, so she's going to be able to see Scott, and she hasn't seen Scott for a few weeks now, so they're going to be on leave for 2 weeks, like I say. That's why I'm going up now, is to just kind of go and help out Jamie for a bit, and then Scott and Nikki come back, and Jamie goes on leave with Brent, and then after that, I'm not quite sure what the plans are, but I think I'm there for another 2 weeks when Scott and Jamie get back, and then I'll come back home, I think. I don't know. There might be a call to be extended a little bit longer, and then when I come back, it'll be 2 weeks of leave for me, I think, and then maybe back to Djuma, maybe back to Mara. I don't know just yet. But it'll be fun either way. It's going to be, like I say, an adventure, and it'll be something different, and it's always good to see new areas and new places and explore new areas and new places. You know, Djuma has been fantastic to me over the course of the last sort of year and a bit, and it's been a place that I've called home for a while, and so I've seen a lot of different things, and there's been some crazy sightings, but it'll just be nice to kind of drive different roads, see different things, experience different things. I don't know, be good. Meet all the other staff that are part of Wild Earth that I haven't met, that have been working for us for over a year, so it would be nice just to kind of catch up with them. So who knows what's going on, but it sounds like now Jigga has decided to eat the signal that Wendy is getting, and so you guys are going to be stuck with me and not the other way around like it was looking a little bit earlier. Now I'm driving on Twin Dams area because I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of, well, one, keep signal, two, maybe Tundi pops out somewhere in this general vicinity. I'm heading towards the dam just in case she's come up the drainage and is going to pop out at the dam somewhere. You never know with her. James Richard, undoubtedly so. I will probably be a part of the Marshmallow Club, and for those of you who have no idea what the Marshmallow Club is, well, the Marshmallow Club is basically people that get stuck in the Mara. Now, I can't help myself sometimes. I like to go into places which are quite rough and quite sort of thick and dense, and so sometimes that means that goes into a muddy area, and so I'm pretty sure I'll get stuck at some point. I'm not really that phased by it. I don't really care if I get teased about it at all, to be honest. It is what it is, and it's all in the name of good fun. So I'm pretty sure Brent will make a big deal out of it, because of course Brent has never been stuck ever before in his life. In fact, he invented getting stuck to play tricks on others, because he just never used to do it and got bored. And so, he'll make fun of me, even though we all have photographs of him actually getting stuck for real. Anyway, let's send you back across to James. Besides, apparently Wendy's now got signal.
Yes, Wendy does have signal. I'm pleased to say that the greatest surprise of my time in the Mara was that I was not the Marshmallow King, because I am extremely good at getting stuck. I'm really an exceptional exponent of the getting stuck sport. So why it is that I didn't, I don't know. It had absolutely nothing to do with skill and everything to do with blind luck. So I shall hope that luck lasts the next time I go there. It is extremely wet out there now though, so Tristan had better watch out. The amount of rain they get there is not a joke. Hello Gina, you want to know if there are any bears in Africa? Why do I feel like I should answer in the affirmative? Not in southern Africa, no. I think there was something at one stage called yes, I remember now, called an Atlas bear, which used to occur in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco. As far as I'm aware, this bear is extinct or no longer occurs in that area. And I think, I'm 90% sure that is true, and that was the only bear species ever to occur in Africa. Bear. It definitely doesn't occur there anymore, as far as I'm aware. So we had a bit of break up there, sorry about that. It's the Atlas bear, I think it was called. I remember asked this question. Ridiculous, there's no such thing as a bear. There's never been a bear in Africa. And, as is so often the case, when you turn a pork pie on one of the thousands of visitors will catch you out. And in fact, it's one of the most important things you ever teach any guide, first of all, is that they must not busk. The words "I do not know" are very important when you're a guide, but they're even more important when you don't have first timers on the back of your vehicle, but 2,500 odd not first timers, and trying to pull the wool over their eyes, very difficult. Okay, our signal is not very stable. Let's go back to Tristan. I will see you on quarantine clearings.
Well, James, I'm also on quarantine clearings just because, well, Signal is being Signal this afternoon and is not really playing along. And so hopefully we'll get the sort of gremlins beaten out of these vehicles overnight. We'll have to have a word with them. But as you can see, I don't want to shine my lights too much on them, but there is a mass of wildebeest that are in front of me. In fact, yesterday I had to walk from Ingers to DRC, and I counted 40 of them. So there was 40 wildebeest on quarantine, which is, I think, some sort of record. In fact, I would like to know, what is the most wildebeest we've seen in a single kind of herd on quarantine clearings, or in fact on Djuma itself? I reckon this must be close to the most wildebeest we've ever seen. It's almost something like out of where we're heading, or where I'm heading at least, in the next few months. And that will be quite nice as well, as hopefully the migration will start to arrive while I'm there. It should start to kind of just start to come in as I get there, or as I start leaving in that area. So in about 6 weeks time you'll find the migration should start coming. Now I'm going to try and just go through this area quite quickly, and I want to turn my headlights off for a little bit while I do that. But I'm looking for our little honey badger friend that we had here the other day, so I'm trying not to blind all the other animals, but we had our honey badger exactly here the other day. It came running out from the herds and was kind of trotting about, and sometimes you will find them in places like this, particularly if there's a lot of animals that are around because, well, they all defecate, and wildebeest have a rather large patty which attracts insects, which then in turn attracts honey badgers, which then dig around in that dung looking for dung beetles and various other little insects that are around. You actually find them a lot in rhino middens as well, so it's always a good place to look for them, is in a clearing like this when you've got a lot of animals that have spent a lot of time in this area. It's not a bad area to check for them, so we'll have a little look. There's also been a jackal that's been hanging around in this section, so there's potential for a few little nocturnal critters that could be running around on quarantine. It's always good to come and check up here. We neglect it a lot of the time in the evenings because, you know, it's the kind of home stretch, so to speak. But it's always a good place just to have a little scan around. Sometimes you can be very surprised what can be on quarantine. In fact, there's leopards often on quarantine at night. Lions cruise around here, so good place to come and check before heading home, that's for sure. And just doing it with a fine-tooth comb. But no honey badger so far today, which is disappointing in some respects. It was really good that we had that honey badger the other day. I know it wasn't a great view of it, but it was a honey badger nonetheless, and very cool to get them on drive. Brent actually had an incredible sighting of a honey badger apparently the other day. When he was going into town, he took Rebecca to the doctor in Nelspruit, and he had to leave here very early in the morning. And while he was leaving early in the morning, he bumped into two honey badgers running down Vuyatela Access, and then he watched them kind of feed around on sandy patch, and he said that they were actually quite relaxed and they had a good 2-3 minutes sighting. Yes, indeed, Nikki. So Nikki was saying, I'm so jealous, and then she remembered that we saw an aardvark. So we did see an aardvark. Nikki, myself, Jerry, and Alicia was also with us, and we had a very cool sighting of an aardvark the other night, which was quite epic. So we all got something good this week, didn't we? Well, most of us anyway. Kirsty didn't get anything because she was on leave, but she was on leave, so that's not a bad thing either. Craig, have you seen anything exciting this week? No, poor Craig. Woe is me, Craig. But you're Batman, so your whole life is exciting. You have toys and kind of go out at night and save the world and protect helpless individuals that are being, you know, chased around by evil people. So you live an exciting life anyway, Craig. Now, what are those eyes there? Just an impala. Anyway, while we contemplate the excitement that is Batman's life, it's time for us to head home. So we'll see you all tomorrow, but let's send you back across to James to close out the show.
Batman is the most overexcitable person in all the world. He's almost impossible to contain. We have to lock his door at night because he just wants to throw himself around, whoop and scream, tell jokes, laugh, dance on the tables. He's unstoppable, really. Yeah, it really is quite spectacular. Well, oh yes, quite. Now, please do vote for us for the Webby Awards. The Webby Awards, apparently the equivalent of the interwebs Oscars or Emmys. You can vote for these ones, however, and we'd love you to vote for us. We're up for 3 categories. Apparently we're being beaten at the moment by a beaver or something in the one category, but the other 2 we're leading, and so please go and vote for us on the Webbies. You can go to our Facebook site, and that will give you the details over there. And now we have 30 seconds left of the drive to show you a small rabbit on the ground. There you are. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for the Sunset Safari, for that wonderful highlight of the grass in Tingana. We will see you tomorrow at 0600. Until then, goodbye and have a wonderful evening.